Hello, and welcome to Why I Love Warhammer, the series where I go into an unscripted ramble regarding why I love something in this hobby, and today's episode is the Night Lords. The Night Lords were my first 40k army ever, and I had gotten into them after having played some of the then Lord of the Rings, now Middle-earth strategy battle game, and I've been loving them ever since. I'm an absolute Night Lords fanboy. So let's do this in kind of the order of events. So I was looking into getting into 40k, and I was doing a lot of research with my friends at the time. We were reading White Dwarf magazines every day in the school library, and something came across. There was a thing on the pages that I instantly fell in love with, and that was the Chaos Defiler. I used to repeatedly use the words "I want a Defiler." So I was looking into it a bit more, and when I was looking at it was the 3.5 edition Codex for Chaos Space Marines, and they had different sections of the different armies: Black Legion, the Death Guard, the World Eaters, the Thousand Sons, the Emperor's Children, the Iron Warriors, the Alpha Legion, the Word Bearers, etc. On the night, it had a page about the lore with a little bit of rules, and the Night Lords and the Iron Warriors had an interesting rule to them. So back then, the Force Organization chart was the most you could have in an army. So at minimum, you needed one HQ unit, one leader, 2 troops. And then the most you could have was 2 HQ, 2 leaders, 3 elites, 6 troops, 3 fast attack, 3 heavy support. And the Iron Warriors had a rule that said you can trade out 2 of your fast attack slots for an extra heavy support. And the Night Lords trade out 2 heavy supports for another fast attack. Now, as a teenager, this made a lot of sense to me to trade out a couple of units, because it meant I could max out my army and it would be monetarily cheap, which, as someone living off mum and dad at that point, was a useful strategy. And also I figured that the fast attack models were normally like dudes, not tanks, so that was the cheaper way around. But then you start looking into it more, and the Night Lords, the thing for me was they had these bat wings as their aesthetic. And that was something I absolutely adored. It made them really distinctive, made them look really cool. And so I went whole hog on Night Lords. Now, to be honest, in the world of 40k, the only things that make something a Night Lord rather than a Chaos Space Marine is this one Chaos Lord model and Night Lord's upgrades. When I was first getting into it, it was like heads and shoulder pads that you could get to upgrade, and then as time went on, we got the reveal of a more complete and distinct Night Lord's upgrade sprue. So yeah, between that and a colour scheme. So I'll get into some of the Horus Heresy Night Lords models, because I do own a couple of the Horus Heresy models as well, but mostly what I'm going to be doing is going through the models that I have in my Night Lords army, and then when we hit 30k we'll go into those, because some of the things I have in my Night Lords army might take people by surprise a bit. So first we've got the Chaos Lord. I think that there's something particularly nice about just a normal, unnamed character. It means that you can get something and you can personalize it and make it yours. Like, when I'm using my Lord, I'm not, it's not this named character from that book. It's my guy. He has his own story that I can create for myself. Also, he's small, and for a miniatures game, I like things being a bit smaller. I'm not a huge fan of scale creep. So this guy being as he was back in 2006, perfect for me. Like I've got mine. He's painted up. He was still metal. My one's actually metal, which is so nice to have as a change. And yeah, they're just a really fun model to just have and build and use. Yeah, power claw and a big bolt gun. Perfect. And again, covered in bat wings, glorious. And he's got that old school sculpting thing where he's kind of got a plane going that way and then a plane going that way, and it's 3-dimensional, but in a very kind of fathomable way. This guy was designed by a sculptor using green stuff, well, not by a sculptor using a computer-aided design CAD system to really fine-tune it. So I love this Chaos Lord. One of my first Chaos Lord. Glorious model. So happy it's still in the range. And yeah, long may it continue. At the time of recording, this is the most recent Demon Prince model. I've got a classic Demon Prince. I did make a short about it. I think the Demon Princes are really cool. I like the fact that it's something you ascend to, but it can go wrong. And with the more recent sculpts, I like the range of weapons. You can really make them your own. As a Night Lords player, it's all Chaos Undivided. So because the Night Lords, they don't have a Chaos God. They didn't fall to Chaos to fall to a Chaos God. They fell to Chaos because Konrad Kurze was crazy. There are theories that suggest that Konrad Kurze thought falling to Chaos was the best way to help the Imperium. So, yeah, Demon Prince is demonic, but yeah, you go Undivided because it's someone who's fallen to Chaos but didn't want a god. And I just think they look really cool. They're scary. They're big leaders. They're psychers, and yeah, they've got. But there's a lot to them. There's again with the Demon Princes, I like the goat hooves, makes them look more satanic. And again for the Night Lords with their penchant for fear tactics and skinning people alive, you want them to be more satanic. They're not the good guys. There are no good guys in 40k. But yeah, I love the Demon Princes. I never run the ones with wings because when I was first getting into the game, that wasn't an option, and I wanted to stay true to my original list. But I do like the wings. The wings look scary in a great way. The Demon Princes. Sight of the Fallen Angel. I know this isn't a Night Lord. It's Fallen from the Dark Angels. I had this guy because on the Games Workshop store, when I was first playing Night Lords, the Cypher was listed as an elite choice. And I thought, okay, I can get one guy who can be my elite slot, and that's an elite slot filled out. Of course, that changed as times went on, but I still have Cypher as my elite choice. Well, not as an elite choice. I still have him in my army, even though he's not a Night Lord. But he's a cool kind of independent unit. He travels around. He's got an awesome sword. He's got the gun, and he's got. I love the cloak, and it's a nice chance to paint a model that's painted a bit differently to the rest of your army. He still uses pre-heresy colours. I painted mine to have post-heresy colours because I like that dark green, and he sits very well in my army. His base is blue to keep that coherence for me. But yeah, he's just a really fun model. I'm glad he's there. And even if he's not a strict Night Lord, he is to me. Because he was in my first list, he is in my current list. Love Cypher the Fallen Angel, and I love him in my Night Lord's army. Possessed. Again, I think there's something beautifully tragic about these guys being in a Night Lords list, because Night Lords don't like the Chaos Gods. So having them be possessed adds an extra layer of tragedy to them. They've got a cool kind of hybrid thing going on between the regular Marine and the Demon Princes. So they're slowly turning. I love these flames on the backpack here. I think that's really cool. They're kind of coming out of their armor. They're just becoming more and more demonic. This thing here looks like the start of a Demon Prince wings. It's just a glorious model, and it's all muscle and sinew and stuff that just skeeves me out as a person. And for 40k, if it skeeves me out, if it scares me, it's better. Yeah, it's a good thing if it scares the daylights out of me. And yeah, these guys horrify me to my core. Your standard Chaos Space Marines. I've got 40 of these, and then when they release that new kill team for with the specific Night Lords upgrade sprue, I'll have 10 more. I think they're really cool looking. I think it's a good backbone for the army, and they've got a really lovely range of weapons to them. And they do have some unique posing, but it doesn't look so unique and so monopose that they'll feel repetitive if you know, as you build out your troops. I just think they're really good models, and I'm really happy they're in the range. The only criticism I've really got is a lot of the guns are clearly designed for two hands, and on the sprues they have like an extra hand sculpted in, and then you've got to stick an arm on that. I'd much prefer the guns to, you know, like this guy, the gun is a one-handed weapon, which lets him have a melee weapon in the other hand. And of course, the melee weapons are all chain swords, chain axes, and swords. They've got flamers, and just all the coolest weapons in this setting are had by Chaos Space Marine troops. Maybe the causality of that is reversed, and maybe I like them so much because the Chaos Space Marines use them so much. But the fact is that both are true. Chaos Space Marines use them a lot. They're my favourite weapons in the setting are all used by Chaos Space Marines. Glorious models, glorious weapons, backbone of a Chaos Space Marine army, in my opinion. The Rhino. I love a good Rhino. There used to be a thing of the Chaos Space Marine Battle Force box, which had like 10 Space Marines, a Rhino, 10 Berserkers, and 3 bikes. And so that's why I ended up with a Rhino in my original list. That's why I got a Rhino now. Really cool, nice squat model, but it's got the spikes on the top. And it's just a glorious thing. Just a good core for the army. I know a couple of YouTube channels who I watch and respect a lot. They don't like rhinos so much. They joke that rhinos are free. But I think they're cool. I've got a soft spot for a good square stackable vehicle. Okay, the bikes. Potentially, a lot of people say these guys are in need of an upgrade or a refresh. I like these. They're just steady, just a good bike. It's got a bike, there's guns mounted on the front, and with the way these guns are mounted on, you feel like the controls for the guns are on the handlebars. You don't feel like they've got to take a hand off the handles to fire a weapon. They're cool, edgy bikes. They look like they were designed by someone in the 90s who would be seeing a school counsellor. Like, they look metal as all hell, and I think that's glorious. They really lean to that aesthetic that you'll want for Chaos Space Marine bikes. Glorious. I've got 6 of these in my list, and I just think they're amazing looking. So happy they're in. Yeah, really happy about them being in. No, I've got 3 of them. It's 3 or 6, but either way, really happy they're in my army. Mine will have the Night Lords upgrades because Night Lords army. This is a Night Lords episode. These guys as fast attack slots I think work well for Night Lords anyway because they're zooming in, and having 2 sets of bikes and 2 sets of Raptors I think serves the Night Lords very well in terms of theming and aesthetics. Raptors. Now, I think when I was first getting Raptors, they probably were more like Warp Talons are now, but they were called Raptors in my original army. They're called so I use Raptors in my current army. I think they're really cool. I think these guys skirt the line for me. I probably would have preferred them if they had the flying bases, rather than looking like they're all just jumping off stuff. But I do think they're interesting. I like the jump packs on them. They've all got a gun and a melee weapon. I think that's just like a nice loadout for Chaos models. And they're just really cool looking. And yeah, big spiky feet. And the spiky feet make it feel like they can land on stuff. And it's like the talons of a bird raptor. So it leans into the naming as well. I think that's just really cool for them. and the helmets are twisted and all corrupted by chaos. That's brilliant. And again, for the Night Lords, adds an extra level. The more possessed or more demonic a Night Lord's character looks, the more tragic it is, because the Night Lords would never have wanted that for themselves. The Defiler, the main reason I play Chaos, I was playing Chaos Space Marines, I think is really cool. It's a giant robot crab. What is not to love? I wish that more Chaos vehicles looked like this still. They've evolved as time has gone on. The Forge Fiend, the Mauler Fiend, and the big flyer one. That's more what Chaos looks like now. But I'm absolutely in love with the old Chaos aesthetic, and the Defiler is one of my favourites. I love this Bale Mace thing it's got going on here. I think that just adds a lot of character to it. I love this gun. I love the giant cannon. Back in 4th edition, I used to have that gun, and it had like a 72-inch range, which was like the hypotenuse of my dining table. So when friends would come over, I could have the Defiler just sit back as a gun line and just fire out, which at the time it was just enough to bring down a squad of Kroot carnivores to the point where they'd have to take a morale check, which would then mean at that first morale phase, a bunch of Kroot would end up running off the table because they'd been knocked because of one round of shooting from the Chaos Defiler. Glorious model. Such a brilliant thing to have on the battlefield. I've not had a chance to field it since 8th edition, but it's still a cool looking model, and I'm so happy about it being in the setting. It's one of my favourite models in the whole of 40k. It's why I played Chaos and Space Marines, why I play Night Lords. If you want the summary version of this video, here it is. The Defiler. Giant robot crab. Amazing. Just amazing. And again, like, you know how they say there's there are no good guys in 40k. I don't think I've ever seen any work of fiction where the good guys use a robot crab. I've seen one film where people pretending to be good guys use a giant robot crab. They turn out to be bad guys, and then once they're defeated, the heroes repurpose the robot crab. But usually, that's the closest I've ever seen to an exception to the rule. Robot crabs are not used by the goodies. And if you want Chaos as the bad guys, here it is. One giant enemy crab. And I love it. I love it to pieces. And if I could justify, in terms of money and physical space, having 3 of them, I would have 3 of them. Glorious models. Glorious, glorious, glorious models. Okay, Konrad Kurze. Konrad Kurze, Primarch of the Night Lords. I spent 2 solid weeks painting mine up to really match the colours on here as closely as I could, but I made my earthy bit a bit more grey. Such a beautifully tragic character. Never wanted to fall to Chaos. Certifiably insane. Potentially thinks that working with Chaos is the best way to help the Imperium. He had a really heart-wrenching conversation with either the Emperor or a voice he thought was the Emperor. Beautifully tragic character. The edgiest version of Batman, to the point, bat aesthetic, vigilante justice. I like the theory that he never actually died. He faked his death and just returns to being life as the Night Haunter, just as this vigilante. Doesn't want to command his legion anymore, just wants to do his own thing. I like that theory. I am happy to stand by that theory. If Konrad Kurze came back for 40k, the way I'd like it to happen would be he'd basically be a giant bat with a hole in the chest, as though the heart was literally removed when he was assassinated. And I'd want that character to be a buffs-only character with like battlefield-wide buffs, but with no ability to attack. And again, in the Middle Earth strategy battle game, the Tom Bombadil character has a rule that says that unless you say, yes, I am going to let that happen, he can't have any characters or any arrows or any magic enter a 1-inch radius around him. But that comes with a rule that says if Tom Bombadil and or Goldberry are your last 2 models, they wander off the field, they are considered slain. I'd want a similar rule for Conrad Kurze, Conrad Kurze in demon form, where he can only buff, he can't be hit, he can't hit, but if he's your last remaining model, he flies off and is considered slain. Probably add can't hold objectives as well. I think that'd be very, very poignant, and kind of he's there for his faction, he's there for his legion, but he's gone from these terrifying claws and wearing human skin to unable to interact and make anything negative for anyone else directly. I think that'd be beautifully tragic. It's why whenever someone comes out and says, "What Primarch do you want to return next?" I always say Sanguinius. Because my theory is, if you bring back Sanguinius, then the Overton window for dead Primarchs returning shifts. And it means that Sanguinius can take all the heat for a dead Primarch coming back. And so when Konrad Kurze comes back, no one's going to mind. Because Sanguinius already came back. All bets are off. Yeah, I want Konrad Kurze back. And I'd love him to be the way I just described, but I'll take him as like a clone, and it's just this again in 40k. This was such a fun model to paint. And yeah, I'd love to use I'd love to play some more Horus Heresy, just get to use him more. Phenomenal model. Loved every moment of painting this guy up. Sevatar. Now, I don't own a Sevatar model. I just think it's really cool to have the second in command for the Heresy. I really like the fact that everyone, all the Chaos factions in Heresy, have the second in command. I don't actually know enough about Sevatar to confirm this, but usually it's the second in command that screw things up for the Primarchs. But I think Sevatar's just a really cool model. Again, sucker for these diorama bases that they have in the Horus Heresy setting. I love that spear, and he's got the skin that Curze has as well, just to kind of emphasize him being second in command. Horus Heresy era Raptors. I've got 10 of these guys. Again, it's the same as the 40k Raptors, really, where my opinions are. Possibly I would have preferred them if they were flying, but they've got really cool jump packs, a melee weapon with a ranged weapon, and you really feel like they're kind of jumping about. They don't feel like these ones fly. These feel like more like crane flies, like long legs that kind of go. Ooh. They jump further than you'd expect, but you wouldn't really call it flight. I do love the Raptors. The Terminators, I think these guys look really cool. I don't feel like they gel too well with the general speedy aesthetic, the speedy kind of flavour of the Night Lords. But I've warmed up these guys a lot as time's gone on. I think their weapons are really cool, really sadistic looking. And the fact, and these guys feel like they'll walk up to you slowly and then do their flaying. So they're kind of they kind of bring in the fear aspect of the Night Lords rather than the zippiness of the Night Lords. And the Night Lords are both, so there's room for both. And these guys being scary is important for the Night Lord's flavour. So I do really like these guys a lot more than I did when I first came across them. I don't own any myself, but I would genuinely like to at some point. Standard Praetor for the Night Lords. Brilliant aesthetic. This one's gone a bit easier on the skin, but it's the chain glaive I love. It's huge and long and menacing and glorious, and yeah, really happy about this model being in the range. Same deal for this guy. Really cool. And I've only just noticed this. This guy looks a lot like... Nah, don't want to get demonetized before I'm monetized. This guy, this head looks like a certain political figure from the 1930s, 1940s, prominently made the villain, and rightly so, in a lot of media. So him being on the belt, I think, is interesting. The Night Lords did, in their early days, it was mostly trying to take out criminals, and if that guy is based on who I think it's based on, that guy is definitely a criminal. Happy to have him decapitated. But yeah, this is just a cool looking model anyway. Bat wings, the skulls and heads on the spikes. The fact that it's got that and this suggests it's like the head goes on and they just let everything rot off, which is metal as anything. Again, gun on the hand, I think that's a really cool thing. I'm pretty sure it's against the Geneva Convention to have that as a weapon, but the Night Lords do not care for our rules of warfare. The Terminator upgrade, same as before. Ave Dominus Nox. These bat wings here on the skull, the heads being displayed at various levels of decay. This is the muscle and sinew on display, which skeeves me out more than almost anything in the setting. And the fact that it's there and it skeeves me out. Night Lords doing their job. Brilliant. Final slide, which is just the 30k Night Lords upgrade sprue. It's that Batwing aesthetic, I think, is really brilliant. And yeah, just the Night Lords as a whole, I think, are a really fun faction to have. The fact that they're terrifying in so many ways is so pure for what 40k is about. It's grim, dark, to the absolute absurd degree. And the Night Lords being this pseudo-Batman-like faction that use terror tactics and flaying is grim and dark to that nth degree. And I think that's just so important for the setting to have. And, they are terrifying. They're terrifying creatures. And that's why they belong in the setting. And that's why I love them. I love the Night Lords because they are pure 40k, pure 30k to the absolute extreme. That's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to drop me a like, that'd be brilliant. If you want to subscribe for more positivity and loving different factions, that'd be brilliant as well. If you want to share this video with any friends, that'd be brilliant too. Share the word, share some positivity around here, share the Night Lords. And I've got a link in the description for a Patreon. If you wanted to drop me something there, that'd be great as well. You can keep the videos going. But with that, I am going to wish you a great day. And until next time, see you soon.